This is Sandman1MT, and welcome to my channel. Today's discussion is, why am I still playing Genshin Impact after all this time, and the issues they still have not fixed, and why are these other content reviewers gushing over the newest updates, while I'm just ho-hum about this whole entire affair? Well, let me go ahead and get right down to it. We'll talk about the newest updates that they're talking about and the fixes they're going to give to us. Well, and this whole entire release that they're gushing over is basically just an ad for our newest Pyro on Archon coming out and her sidekick, Sitlali. And you get to see what their kits look like, and guess what? They're releasing both on the banner at the same time. So that way, if you pull for one, there's a good chance you're not going to be able to get the other. So sorry folks, if you want to get two characters, I hope you saved up or you got your credit card ready to swipe. And go ahead and take the sting out of that. They at least did give us a free copy of Shangling for her costume, and it's very cute. And one for Hu-Tao as well. It's paid, but it's a very nice outfit as well. And then go ahead and move on with the banner and everything. They also give you Yanlan, or another 4-star leeway character you can select, which is pretty cool. Is a new 4-star coming out. However, you didn't notice they mentioned that her copies will be available in the second patch of the rerun characters, Archino and also Clorinde. So if you want multiple copies of her and you don't want those characters, or you already have them, guess what? You're going to have to skip it and wait for later, or risk it in the character you don't want. Thanks, Hoyoverse. Awesome. But at least they did give us a free copy. And this time around, we'd get 20 free wishes like the other Hoyoverse games. So we're at least moving up to the same level those are at. So that's at least an improvement as well. And to top it all off, it looks like the things that people are guesstimating about, since they only covered it for 15 seconds, is the fact that they're going to be giving us some new permanent content. That is going to be including us to be able to go ahead and make our own little battle arenas and possibly play with their friends. And then it cuts out to the real update they wanted us to talk about, which is a permanent feature in this very next patch. Ooh, get excited, folks. It's Guitar Hero. I mean music for Genshin. Really? A battling game, and now I get to go ahead and plunk around on a ukulele and play some of Genshin's greatest hits. That's what none of us asked for. Thanks, Hoyoverse. So that's where I think it falls flat. And now we'll go ahead and move on about the artifacts. Now I can't believe after all this time, when it comes to our artifact sets, that we simply do not have a loadout that we can go ahead and quickly swap in our pieces for different characters, or for our same characters like my Cloud Retainer here. I would love to have a Viridescent set that quickly swap out with their Songs of Days, that I don't have to go ahead and remember where I put those pieces at. And I know a lot of other people have asked for that since almost the very beginning of the game. And the fact that we're here 4 years into this game and they still have not given us that, it's kind of a slap in the face. I don't understand why we simply cannot go ahead and get a quick loadout we can custom name and utilize in our system while they're upgrading these other features for the new players, which is great, but the existing players kind of get a middle finger because we're already in it for the long haul, and these newer players get handed these newer features which help them but have no benefit to their existing player base who's been supporting them for all this time. And then what about the strong box? Okay, cool. We have the strong box. I also call it the scam box. So I'm supposed to go here to this crafting bench and go into here, select out, and sacrifice 3 pieces to get a chance at getting 1 piece. And you end up, I've seen myself, I've spent 1,000 artifacts I've sacrificed to get 3 or 4 pieces. 1 or 2 were kind of broken, the other 2 were all right, and the rest, poof, gone, never to be seen, into the abyss, thin air. So what your better use in your artifact sets and making your builds would be actually building other artifact pieces that you come across as you're trying for these other epic pieces that you can actually go ahead and come across and upgrade those as you go ahead and get better pieces. It's much better than trying to sacrifice them all in the hopes of getting 1 piece that will probably roll into flat defense or HP anyways. Now, talking about your custom artifacts. That's one of our biggest upgrades they supposedly gave to us. Well, this is a bigger scam than even the strong box. This one makes you go ahead and use these little elixirs, and each elixir can go ahead and make a different piece. However, instead of making it fair where across the board, they could have said you need 2 elixirs to make any one of these pieces, and if you want to lock the other 2 substats in besides having the first 2 chosen for you, you can go ahead and lock in 4 for the price of 4 elixirs. Would have been fair, and you'd get a nice custom artifact piece, and you'd be guaranteed to get something that you'd roll on to be useful for your account. That would be a good custom piece. However, they didn't do that. They locked that in behind these elixirs. They want you to sacrifice your 5-star pieces that you've even built up to get minimal amount of elixir back in return for your cost of what you spent in for it. It's a total waste if your pieces don't even have the chance to roll good because it went into flat HP or defense or other skills that you didn't even need for your character. Wasting your time and your resources. And then to come across the last scam. Why, after all this time with our characters that we were building up, do we have flat stats? Why do I have flat HP when there's already HP percentage? The only reason why they have those in the whole entire system is to waste our resin resources. So that way we have to go ahead and sacrifice that piece and roll all over again and spend more time in the game. And hopefully, if you're like me and sometimes an idiot, top it off with primo gems so that way you can continue to go ahead and waste your resources. I just find that they should eliminate the flat stats entirely and allow us to go ahead and build our characters more efficiently. And that'll come in my next problem that they have is limitations of when we can build our characters for their talent materials. Because if I want to go ahead and do a boss run, I can only do this once a week. Why am I locked out? If I want to go ahead and with the newest Archon coming out, we're going to get 2, maybe 3 pieces to upgrade one of our talents. But if you want to go ahead and max it out, oh, I'm sorry, you can't have that because you only have 2 and you can only upgrade one of her talents. How come we cannot go ahead and do a boss run several times? And they could even incorporate better gameplay amongst other fellow players by saying, hey, the first run you can do in your own world, but if you can visit up to 3 other people's worlds and you can do the run in their world too and still get the resources. Why can't they do that for our co-op play that actually encourage us to work together instead of always just against each other? Just some of my thoughts that they need to go ahead and take care of that would actually make some improvements in the game that would have made this an epic patch update. However, none of these things happened. Now it comes down to the part we're talking about Serintea Teapots. How come after all this time we finally got ourselves an increase for our limits that we could put in here for our loads, but they only gave us a minimalist amount for us to go ahead and use? I do not understand why they went ahead and did not increase it more for us to be able to actually utilize these worlds a little more fully. My complaint is I spent all this time making this world, however, I'm unable to go ahead and completely flesh it out. One of the other reasons I'm unable to flesh it out is we still can only have 8 characters in our Serintea Teapot after all this time. We have 80 characters now, I think, that are available. I have 61 myself, but after all this time, I'm still stuck with only 8 characters that I can put them in a Serintea Pot. The other thing they could have done is had some events where we could have gotten some enemies put in here, like Hilly Trolls or Abyss Mages, that maybe we can even have little battles against to go ahead and test out whose character can go ahead and defeat it the quickest. But they didn't give us any of those options. They did have a temporary event once where they allowed us to go ahead and create a Serintea Teapot with zip lines and everything else, but they never incorporated those features for us to go ahead and use ourselves. I think it is a real disservice to our player base that we have this really cool feature, but it's limited by arbitrary load limits. Like for instance, I come down up over here, you can go ahead and see that I got everything placed out, but yet I have literally no characters and no life beyond the moving pieces of the mechanical items. That's it. If I want to have any other creatures or anything else out here, I do not have those options. And they leave us wanting more, but we're unable to completely fill out our worlds because of these load limits they kind of keep on putting onto our Serintea Teapots. And we've asked them to raise up the limits and they refuse to. And the other option I don't understand that they don't utilize is why can't we have our worlds just left open for anyone to come visit our Serintea Teapots? Maybe come by and say something hi to Tubby, and when they do, they'd be able to go ahead and actually give us some coins or some extra building materials our characters can use for all the people to visit your Serintea Teapot. Why can't we take advantage of things like that? I just don't understand why they give us some of these really awesome things, but don't allow us to fully utilize it. So even if people don't have enough of a system to visit your teapot, they can always put a simple warning there that a higher load limit is required and you might need a better system. Do you want to continue to enter into this person's teapot? And they'd be left the option to go ahead and back out, or if they have a good system, to checkbox never see that again and come visit anybody's world and help with the co-op play and enjoyability of this game. But they left us kind of high and dry in this situation and left us wanting more, which is really too bad because you can tell this is a really beautiful world. Well, now we're going to talk about the user interface. They have updated that recently, which is cool, which gives you a complete clean look to view your game. However, I don't understand why they couldn't have given us also the option to give us a simple user interface that simply would have taken all the extra data you see in the top upper right hand corner out of the screen, including the internet speed, because it's not necessary for a lot of us out there, and be able to toggle the mini map both on and off. That we can go ahead and be able to do that, and take the button presses that we use could be just simply located at the bottom of the screen now, and then you can shift the character burst icons to the bottom right hand corner of your screen, giving you a very clean screen to enjoy. But we're left off only with the options of either having it cluttered like you seen here just a moment ago, or to completely hide all your information so you never know what your character's health or anything else is. I don't know why they can't do the simple thing to let us know the rest of the information like other games have done for the last 20 or even 30 years. It just kind of leaves us wanting more. They always give us half measures, which leaves me a little bit disappointed. You can tell Milani now ran out of power over here, and now I'm swimming, but you have no idea how much stamina I still have left, which is really unfortunate.
Let's ride!
I don't know why they can't go ahead and make an update and fix this completely. Now we're going to go ahead and also talk about another issue that a lot of people have brought up in the past. It's about the Archon quest and voice dialogues.
Need a surfboard?
Well, it's awesome storylines. I'm not going to knock the current quest lines that we have going with Natlan. They've been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed the side quests with each of the characters that they've done, and they've been very immersive. However, there's that problem that still exists where every character you talk to stops and makes sure that you're still listening, and you have to do some kind of confirmation with them. How come it can't just play through? Or at the very least, get rid of those confirmation beeps we constantly hear as they're talking in between each sentences. Kind of like if I was addressing my friend, "Hey Steve, how's things going?" Beep! "Oh, that's going fine over there, Fred." Click. It's just distracting. Give us a clean dialogue experience to really enjoy the game. And we've been asking that for the longest period of time. Now, the other issue I'm going to go ahead and have to take up is about the world level. Why, after all this time, is it still only one world level raise? It's something they should have done way back in Sumero, right before it started out when it was needed back then. So the one world level increase is nice. However, it's still not enough to go ahead and really satisfy the player base out there to really give us a challenge. So I don't understand why they haven't raised it up another level on top of that to give a better challenge to a broader player base, especially for those who've invested a little more in their characters like myself and other players out there. And it's just an ignored situation. And on top of that, I'd suggest that they actually have the reset time for like the legendary bosses like Liam and Rocky, for instance, be on a 15-minute to even a 5-minute cooldown timer, so we can replay those enemies over and over again with our friends as challenges. Instead, they're stuck on a 12-hour timer to this very day. I don't understand that. And the rest of the enemies should actually go ahead and respawn every half hour. They don't have to make drops every single time. They can still go and limit that to like every 8 or 12 hours and to give us any kind of rewards out of it. But at least give us the challenge to go ahead and run across the open world and fight some different enemies multiple times and give us something to do. That would be some end game. They don't have to change anything else out. Just give us more difficulty. And on top of that, I'd even suggest they give us an abyss level on the open world. One that would actually make it to where you had at least the simplest enemies like hilly trolls would have an abyss challenge level of at least floor 11. And the bigger bosses enemies would be like floor 12, giving us a real challenge. And they just don't want to go ahead and do that because they want you to go into the abyss or imaginary theater, feel bad because you're not able to clear it because of the way they set up the particular theater or the abyss to work against you and make you want to pull for the newest character, which that's not a good thing. If they did that to the open world where you can just fight anyone, well, then you might not pull for that newest character. And I don't think that's ever going to go ahead and go away. Now, what I'm showcasing here, you'd expect to go ahead and possibly be Natlan, but you would be wrong. But this is what we all kind of expected a war-torn country to be like. However, that's not what we got with our newest update. In Natlan, we got more of a Disney version of a new area. This is supposedly a war-torn area, so let's go ahead and pop over there and check it on out. Here, in comparison to our brand new world, we look around, and what do we got? We got a rollerblading girl shooting out across the whole entire land. Well, I can kind of live with that. That's not too less immersive breaking. However, we come across this whole entire land with giraffes and dinosaur-looking type creatures and everything else, but it's a very much light and airy kind of feeling, a very much Disney type feeling. Especially if you go ahead and come down over here to the People of the Springs when you first get introduced to Milani. You drop down over here, and what do you go ahead and you run across? People of the Springs. You drop in here. It's more kind of a chill vibe, party atmosphere. Everyone's kind of here hanging out, just having a cool atmosphere, hanging out the beach. And that's the whole entire vibe that they go ahead and come across in this area. I don't see how this comes across as war-torn. To me, it looks like a very peaceful land, especially for something that had such a major event take place and happen in the area. However, it's pretty, but it's a little unexpected. But even if we come to accept that in this whole entire character area, we look at the characters and their design. Now, of course, they got really good sex appeal, especially when they put Shalona out. They really kind of showcase her assets. It might have taken me a half hour to find out what her vision was. There are some other things distracting me, like this big-ass DJ board. I mean, seriously, this whole entire party vibe kind of works down here at the beachfront. But for a war-torn country, and for someone still working on ukuleles, riding back on dragons and these flying little yukasaur things, I think this is kind of advanced technology that doesn't quite fit in with it at all. And that's not the only character designs that have those kind of issues with it that don't go ahead and match. At least the ones that have come out with previously, they all kind of blend into their areas and kind of make sense. However, we got characters like Chaska that came out that flies on a humongous gun, trying to mimic Cher from the 90s VH1 videos. It's just ridiculous, and it just breaks the immersion. Does Muvaki look cool on her motorcycle ripping out? Hell yes, she does. It looks really awesome with it. However, she should have been on a dragon. It could have belted out a huge breath of fire, covering out the whole entire ground, and covering in lava And when you go ahead and switch out your characters, they could have kept the same animation for that, and you could carry through with your attacks. But no, she comes ripping out on a Suzuki motorcycle, a cafe bike. It just doesn't match with this whole entire land of land of the dragons. The only areas that I think were really cool that came out in this area were the later ones when you're up in the air in these broken down areas. These seem a little more war-torn when you got to the dragons. It makes a little more sense. It's kind of cool up here, but you know, it's kind of limited in everything else. If you drop down up on back on here, you got some cool enemies to go ahead and fight and some overviews on these small little landscapes. This area wasn't too bad, and it seems a little more war-torn. However, overall, I don't like the newest character designs. I think Chaska's a mistake. I think Vaki's going to be a mistake as well. I think she should have been on a dragon. Chaska should have been riding on a Kukasaur that was invested with phlogiston that made it extra large, and she'd shoot a rifle that had the same effect. The game would be so much more immersive that way. But instead, we got this whole entire character like Aja with 8-bit graphics thrown into the video game that completely breaks immersion. And honestly, the voice actor that does the second part of the Aja part is so irritating. I compare it to the English acting in Naruto, and that is really bad. I don't understand the choices behind some of these character designs. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think it's a poor choice on their part, and it once again leaves you wanting. However, I think the Archon storylines has been very entertaining and they've been done very well. However, I just don't agree with some of the design decisions they're making, and I kind of expect more. If you liked and heard what you've seen today, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps out and makes a difference. I hope to see you soon.